friends, welcome to the 45th episode of Apt Guide. In this episode, we are going to start a new topic, that is ratio and proportion. Ratio and proportion is a very important topic in quantitative aptitude because the methods which we are using here to solve the problems is used in almost all topics of quantitative aptitude. If you are perfect in this topic, all other topics will be easy for you to understand. So let us start with a brief description of some of the terms that are present in this topic. So first of all, what is ratio? Ratio is the comparison of sizes of two quantities of same unit. Okay, ratio of two quantities A and B of same unit is the fraction A by B. Okay, so ratio of two quantities A and B can be written as A is to B, and it is nothing but the fraction of A and B. Okay, here A is known as the first term or antecedent and B is known as the second term or consequent. Okay, so the examples of ratios are 5:3 and 4:9. Okay, so for the ratio 5:3, 5 is the antecedent and 3 is the consequent. Okay, now let us see what is proportion. Proportion refers to the equality of two ratios. Okay, A is to B is one ratio and C is to D is another ratio. Okay, so if A is to B is equal to C is to D, then we can say that A, B, C and D are in proportion. Okay, and here A and D are known as extreme terms and B and C are known as mean terms. Okay, so the product of this extreme terms is equal to the product of the mean terms. Okay, so these are the basic terms that are present in this topic. Now let us go straight away to our problems. The first question is 1/4 of a tank holds 135 liters of water. What part of the tank is full if it contains 180 liters of water? So in this question they are telling that 1/4 of a tank holds 135 liters of water. Okay. Now if the tank contains 180 liters of water, what part of the tank is full? Okay. So initially there was 135 liters of water. Then after that it was 180. In the second case it is 180 liters. Means it has increased from this value. Okay. Now when the water has increased, the part of the tank which is full will also increase. Okay. So whenever this quantity has increased, this quantity also increased, which means these both quantities are directly proportional to each other. Okay. So whenever direct proportionality comes, we can find out this answer by cross multiplication. Okay, or by cross multiplying we can find out this answer whenever direct proportionality comes. Okay, so let us consider this as x. Now multiply this 1/4 by 180 and multiply this x by this 135. Okay, now equate them. Now on solving this, we will get the x value as 1/4 into 180 divided by this 135. Okay, so on solving this you will get it as 1/3. Okay, so when it contains 180 liters of water, 1/3 part of the tank is full. Okay, so whenever direct proportionality comes, we need to do cross multiplication to get this answer. Okay, so whenever inverse proportionality comes, we need to do direct multiplication to get the answer. Okay, inverse proportionality means when this quantity is increasing, okay, then this quantity should decrease with respect to this quantity. Then we can say that these both quantities are inversely proportional to each other. Okay, so whenever inverse proportionality comes, we need to do direct multiplication to get the answer. Okay, which means we need to multiply this 1/4 by this 135. Okay, and then we need to multiply this x by this 180. Okay, then equate them. Okay, then we can find out the value of x. Okay, but in this question we need to do cross multiplication because when this quantity is increasing, this quantity should also increase. Okay, which means these both quantities are directly proportional to each other. So whenever direct proportionality comes, we need to do cross multiplication to get the answer. Okay, so this always you should keep in your mind. Whenever direct proportionality comes, we need to do cross multiplication to get the answer, and whenever inverse proportionality comes, we need to do direct multiplication to get the answer. Okay, so this concept is very important. This concept we are using in almost all topics of quantitative aptitude to solve the questions very fast. Okay, so I would suggest you to understand this concept clearly. Okay, the next question is, to fill a tank, 25 buckets of water is required. How many buckets of water will be required to fill the same tank if the capacity of the bucket is reduced to 2/5 of its present? Okay, so in this question they are telling that to fill a tank, 25 buckets of water is required. Okay, so we need to find out the number of buckets required to fill the same tank when the capacity of the bucket is reduced to 2/5 of its present value. Okay, so whenever this type of question comes, let us consider the present capacity of the bucket as the denominator value. Okay, so let us consider the capacity of the bucket as this 5. Okay, then what will be the capacity of the bucket in the second case? That is 2/5 of the present value. That is 2/5 of this 5. That will be equal to 2. Okay, so we need to find out the number of buckets required to fill the same tank when the capacity of the bucket is reduced to 2. Okay, so when the capacity of the bucket is reduced, or when the size of the bucket has been reduced, more number of buckets is required to fill the same tank, right? So whenever this quantity has decreased, this quantity has to be increased, which means these both quantities are inversely proportional to each other. I told whenever inverse proportionality comes, we need to do direct multiplication to get the value. Okay, so let us consider this as x. Okay, so in order to get this value, multiply this 25 by this 5. Okay, and multiply this x by this 2. Okay, and then equate them. Okay, so from this x value will be equal to 25 into 5 divided by this 2. Okay, so on solving this you will get it as 62 1/2. Okay, so 62 1/2 buckets are required to fill the tank when the capacity of the bucket has reduced to 2/5 of its present value. Okay, the next question is, a 90 cm long wire is to be cut into 2 pieces such that one piece will be 2/7 as long as the other. How many centimeter will the shorter piece be? So in this question they are telling that a wire of length 90 centimeter is cut into 2 pieces. Okay, so let us consider the length of the first piece as L1 and length of the second piece as L2. Okay, then they are telling that the length of the first piece is 2/7 as long as the second piece. Okay, so from this we can write L1 by L2 is equal to 2/7. Okay, or the ratios of the lengths of the two wires is 2:7. Okay, so in this question they have given the total length of the wire as 90 centimeter. So let us find out the total of the ratios of their length, that is L1 plus L2. That will be equal to 2 plus 7, that is 9. Okay, so the total of their ratios is 9. Okay, so we can represent or we can write this 9 as this 90. Okay, we can represent this 9 as 90. Okay, this 90 is the total length of the wire and this 9 is the sum of the ratios of the lengths of the two pieces. Okay, so we can represent this 9 as 90. We need to find out the length of the shorter piece. Okay, so we need to find out the value of this 2. Okay, so if we find out the value of this 2, we can find out the length of the shorter piece. Okay, 9 can be written as 90. Then what will be the value of this 2? Okay, these both are directly proportional. So whenever direct proportionality comes, we can find out this value by cross multiplying. Okay, so this length or L1 will be equal to 2 into 90 divided by this 9. Okay, so this will be equal to 20 centimeter. Okay, so the length of the shorter piece will be equal to 20 centimeter. Okay, similarly we can also find out the length of the other piece also. Okay, so for that we need to find out the value of this 7. How can we find out the value of this 7? Okay, this we can find out by cross multiplying. That is, this length will be equal to 90 into 7 divided by this 9. Okay, so that will be equal to 70 centimeter. Okay. The next question is, a waiter's income consists of his salary and tips. His tips were 5/4 of his salary. What fraction of his income come from tips? So in this question they are telling that a waiter's income is equal to his salary plus tips. Okay. Then they are telling that his tips were 5/4 of his salary. So we can write tips is equal to 5/4 of salary, that is S. Okay, or we can write this as T by S is equal to 5/4. Okay, so from this the ratio of the tips and salary is 5:4. Okay, so we need to find out the fraction of his income that come from tips, which means we need to find out the ratio of the tips to the total income. Okay, so what is the ratio of tips to the total income? If the ratio of tips and salary is 5:4, then what will be the income? Income will be equal to the sum of the ratios of tips and salary, that is 5 plus 4, that is equal to 9. Okay, so the fraction of the income that come from tips will be equal to 5:9 or 5/9. Okay, so this is the answer. The next question is, A and B together have rupees 1210. If 4/15 of A's amount is equal to 2/5 of B's amount, how much amount does B have? So in this question they are telling that the total amount that is present with A and B is given as 1210. Okay, then they are telling that 4/15 of A's amount is equal to 2/5 of B's amount. Okay, so from this we can find out the ratio of the amount that is present with A and B. Okay, so from this A by B will be equal to 3/2. Okay, or the ratio of the amount that is present with A and B is 3:2. Okay, now they have given the total amount that is present with A and B. So let us find out the sum of the ratios of the amount that is present with A and B. That will be equal to 3 plus 2, that is 5. Okay, so since in the question they have given the total amount that is present with A and B, we can write this 5 as 1210. Okay, or we can represent this 5 as 1210. So if 5 can be written as 1210, what will be the value for this 2? On finding this value, we can find out the amount that B is having with him. Okay, so this we can find out by cross multiplying. Since these both quantities are directly proportional to each other, we can find out this value by cross multiplying. Okay, so the amount that is present with B will be equal to 2 into 1210, 2 into 1210 divided by this 5. Okay, on solving this you will get the answer as rupees 484. Okay, so this is the answer. The next question is, rupees 14,976 is divided among 3 partners A, B and C so that their shares are in the ratio 1/6 1/3 1/10 respectively. Then B share is more than C share by. So in this question they have given the ratios of the shares of 3 partners A, B and C. They have also given the total amount of the shares of A, B and C. So we need to find out by what amount B share is more than C's share. Okay, or we need to find out the difference between the shares of B and C. Okay, so let us first write down the ratios of the shares of A, B and C. Okay, that is given as 1/6 1/3 1/10. Okay, so in order to avoid this fraction, let us multiply each of these terms by the LCM. Okay, so the LCM of 6, 3 and 10 is 30. Okay, so multiply each of this term by 30. Okay, then the ratio of the shares of A, B and C will be 5:10:3. Okay, so in the question the total amount of the share is given as 14,976. So let us find out what is the total of the ratios of the amount. So total or the sum of the ratios of the amount will be equal to 5 plus 10 plus 3, that is 18. Okay. So we need to find out the difference between the shares of B and C. Okay. So what is the difference between the ratios of the shares of B and C? That is 10 minus 3, that is 7. Okay. So we can represent this 18 as the total amount, that is 14,976. Okay. If 18 can be written as 14,976, what will be the value for this 7? On finding this value, we will get the difference between the shares of B and C. Okay. So this value can be found out by cross multiplying. Since these both are directly proportional to each other, we can find out this value by cross multiplying. Okay. So this value will be equal to 14,976 into 7 divided by this 18. Okay. So the difference between the shares of B and C will be equal to 14,976 into 7 divided by 18. On solving this, you will get the answer as rupees 5,824. Okay. So this is the answer. The next question is, the ratio of boys and girls in a school is 4:5. The difference between the number of boys and girls is 50. Find the total number of students in the school. So in this question, they have given the ratio of the number of boys and girls in a school as 4:5. Okay. Then they have given the difference between the number of boys and girls as 50. Okay. So we need to find out the total number of students in the school. That is, we need to find out the total number of boys and girls in the school. Okay. So since they have given the difference between the number of boys and girls, let us find out the difference between the ratio of the number of boys and girls. That is 5 minus 4, that is 1. Okay. And we can represent this 1 as 50. Okay. So we need to find out the sum of the number of boys and number of girls. So let us find out the sum of the ratios of the number of boys and girls. That is 4 plus 5, that is 9. Okay. So if 1 can be written as 50, how can we write this 9? On finding this value, we will get the total number of students in the school. Okay. So this we can find out by cross multiplying. Okay. Or see, this when this 1 is multiplied by 50, we got here 50. Okay. So if you multiply this 9 also by 50, then you will get this value. Okay. So the total number of students will be equal to 9 into 50. Okay. So that is equal to 450. So this is the answer. The next question is, two circles are having radii in the ratio 6:8. What is the ratio of their areas? So in this question, they have given the ratio of the radii of two circles as 6:8. Okay. So let us consider R1 as the radius of the first circle and R2 as the radius of the second circle. Okay. So the ratio of the radii is 6:8. On simplifying, we can write this ratio as 3:4. Okay. So we need to find out the ratio of the areas of the circle. Okay. Area of the circle is equal to pi r square, where r is the radius. Okay. So what will be the ratio of the areas of two circles? That will be pi r1 square is to pi r2 square. Okay. This pi and pi gets cancelled. So the ratio of the areas will be equal to the ratio of the squares of the radii of the two circles. Okay. So what is r1 square? r1 square is 9 is to r2 square is 16. Okay. So the ratio of the areas of two circles is 9:16. The next question is, sides of a triangle are in the ratio 1/3:1/4:1/5. If the perimeter is 94 cm, find the length of smaller side. So in this question, they have given the ratio of the lengths of the sides of a triangle as 1/3:1/4:1/5. They have also given the perimeter of the triangle. We need to find out the length of the smaller side. Okay. So let us consider L1, L2 and L3 as the lengths of the sides of a triangle. Okay. So the ratio of the lengths is given as 1/3:1/4:1/5. Okay. So in order to avoid this fraction, we need to multiply each of these terms by the LCM of 3, 4 and 5. Okay. So in order to avoid the fraction, we need to multiply each of these terms by the LCM of denominators. Okay, so LCM of 3, 4 and 5 is 60. Okay, so let us multiply each of these terms by the LCM of 3, 4 and 5, that is 60. Okay, so this will be equal to 20, this is 15 and this is 12. So the ratio of the lengths of the sides of the triangle now it is 20:15:12. Okay, so in the question they have given the perimeter of the triangle. Okay, so if we consider L1 as 20, L2 as 15 and L3 as 12, what will be the perimeter? Perimeter is equal to sum of the sides of the triangle. Sum of the lengths of the sides of the triangle is the perimeter of a triangle. Okay, so L1 plus L2 plus L3 will be the perimeter of the triangle. Okay, so if L1 is 20, L2 is 15 and L3 is 12, then the perimeter will be 20 plus 15 plus 12, that is 47. Okay, but in the question the perimeter is given as 94. So we can represent this 47 as 94. We need to find out the length of the smallest side. Okay, so the smallest value in this ratio is 12. So if we find what is the value of this 12, we can find out the length of the smallest side. Okay, so if 47 can be written as 94, how can we write 12? This we can find out by cross multiplying, or 47 into 2 is 94. So if you multiply this 12 by 2, you will get this value. Okay, so the length of the smallest side, that is L3, is equal to 12 into 2, that is 24 centimeter. So this is the answer. The next question is, in a carton containing a dozen mirror is dropped, which of the following cannot be the ratio of broken mirrors to unbroken mirrors? So in this question they are telling that in a carton there are 12 number of mirrors. Okay, so when the carton is dropped, some of the mirrors are broken and some are unbroken. Okay, so we need to find out which of the following cannot be the ratio of broken to unbroken mirrors. Okay, so from the option we can find out this answer. Okay, so if the sum of the ratio is a multiple of the total number of mirrors given, here the total number of mirror is given as 12. Okay, so if the sum of the ratio is a multiple of the total number of mirrors given, then that particular ratio is a possible ratio. Okay, if the sum of the ratio is not a multiple of the total number of mirrors given, then that particular ratio is not a possible ratio. Okay, so let us see how this is happening. Let us first verify the first option. Okay, in the first option the ratio of the broken to unbroken mirror is given as 2:1. Okay, if two number of broken mirrors are there and one number of unbroken mirror is there, then the total number of mirrors will be 2 plus 1, that is 3. Okay, so the sum of the ratios is 3. Okay, so the total number of mirror is given as 12, which means we can represent this 3 as 12. Okay, so if 3 can be written as 12, how can we write 2? And what will be the value of 1? Okay, here 3 into 4 is 12. So if you multiply this 1 by 4 and if you multiply this 2 by 4, we can find out the values of broken and unbroken mirrors. Okay, so the broken mirrors will be 8 and unbroken mirrors will be 4. Okay, so here we got an exact value for the broken and unbroken mirrors. Okay, so from the option or from the ratio, we are able to find an exact value for the broken and unbroken mirrors, then that particular ratio is a possible ratio. Okay, so this was possible because the sum of the ratio is a multiple of the total number of mirrors given. Okay, now let us see the second option. Okay, so in the second option they have given the ratio of the broken to unbroken mirror as 5:1. Okay, then the total of the ratio will be 5 plus 1, that is 6, and we can represent this 6 as the total number of mirrors given, that is 12. Okay, this 6 into 2 is 12. So what will be the value of 5? That will be 5 into 2, that is 10. And what will be the value of 1? That is 1 into 2, that is 2. Okay, so here also we got an exact value for the broken and unbroken mirrors. Okay, this was possible because this 6 or the sum of the ratio is a multiple of this 12, or sum of the ratio is a multiple of the total number of mirrors given. Okay, now let us see the third option. Okay, in the third option the ratio of the broken to unbroken mirror is given as 3:2. Then the total of the ratio is 3 plus 2, that is 5. So we can represent this 5 as 12. Okay, but 5 is not a multiple of 12. So we cannot find an exact value or exact number for the broken and unbroken mirrors. We will get this in terms of fraction. Okay, so the number of broken mirrors or the number of unbroken mirrors cannot be a fraction. It should be an exact number. So third option cannot be the ratio of the broken to unbroken mirrors. So this was because the sum of the ratio is not a multiple of the total number of mirrors given. Okay, so without writing all these steps, directly from the option we can see which of the following is the ratio. Okay, if the sum of the ratio is a multiple of 12, then that particular ratio is a possible ratio. Okay, if the sum of the ratio is not a multiple of 12, then that particular ratio is not a possible ratio of broken and unbroken mirrors. Okay, so here finishes the first part of the topic ratio and proportion. I'll be back with the second part in the next video. If you felt this video helpful, please like it. If you have not yet subscribed the channel, subscribe it. Also press the bell button so that you get the notification when I'm uploading new videos. Thank you for watching the video. Bye.